Can you maybe at a very high level talk about the phases, if you will, right? There's a bit of setup that you have to do initially. There's probably some requirements, some consensus building internally, some configuration connecting with data sources. And again, we can take a simpler example or a more complex one. If you assume data was inside Salesforce or if you were pulling from external sources, maybe a breakdown of various phases would be very useful because I do think that a lot of people are trying to really understand what it takes. And you have such a interesting perspective to bring that.
No, so I think at the get-go, it's an ideation phase with alongside the business and your implementation team to start to ideate ideas on how to leverage AI within their processes. But not only an ideation phase there, start to identify what are they struggling with in terms of what SLT is looking for. Is it too many clicks? I don't want to create an opportunity. It's too many clicks for me. Is that something an agent can work with? So start the first phase by identifying, then prioritizing your use case. Once you get into there, then you're more in an agile fashion. So you're working with your teams to do sprint planning and estimates and things of that nature. And that's where you get into the build aspect of it, right? With Agent Force, it's very descriptive. So it's not like you're building out, like you need to have time to write out your user stories, make sure your qualification or acceptance criteria is written out accordingly. But as you're doing that, you can also be building at the same time with these agents and start to build them. So that's where your build phase comes in. And then you migrate into that test area where user acceptance testing comes in. Now, there is where you want to be able to have your engineering team working with your testing team as well to be able to adjust accordingly and retest a change as in a quick fashion, right? It could be as simple as adjusting a prompt, right? Or whatnot. But that's very important. And then obviously you deploy. But we mentioned it throughout. It's that monitor phase that matters the most, in my opinion, right? While build and test could be fairly accelerated, especially with testing tools out there like Testing Center now, where you can automate it. Where the monitoring phase becomes extremely important because you don't know how your users are going to engage your agent. Are they going to ask the question the same way you think they would? Now, UAT and things of that nature can capture some of it, but you really need to monitor and have, in my opinion, have that next phase to after monitor to improve and tweak the agent is necessary. So plan for that as well, right? Because you will learn things as you move along, right? Especially when it comes to testing. You may be, for instance, testing one specific scenario at a time, but a user may ask you three of those scenarios at once. Is your agent be able to go about it? Or is it capturing what was last said in the last five messages with memory and applying that to its logic, things of that nature. You learn as you go along. So it's your normal delivery cycle, but it's adding that monitor phase as well as time to adjust and iterate on that agent. And that has to be baked into your plan.